What's going on, everybody? My name is Monster, and welcome to episode 10 question mark, maybe 9, I don't know, of the NCL Season 3 Coach Profiles, the series where I interview coaches so you guys get to know them a little bit better. In today's episode, we have a sort of returning coach, sort of not returning coach. He played 2 weeks in Season 1, dropped, and didn't play in Season 2. However, I'm going to treat him like he is a new coach because I never got to interview him in the first place. That coach is Eco, the coach of the Tampa Bay Tapu Bulus. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? I'm good.
I like how you didn't even let me ask you, or like let me ask how are you doing. You were just like, I'm good.
Oh, sorry.
It's fucking. All right, so we're gonna get right into the first question here. How did you get into draft league?
So I was originally part of a Pokemon League that had like a 8 gym style, sort of traditional, like they have in the video games. That league died, and my friend was looking for people in another league, and so he's like, "Hey, you should try out draft format." And I did, and I really liked it. So I started my own league and started playing in a few others.
Okay, that's a bit of a more unconventional way to get into it for sure. Because most people get into it by like watching Dan or Chase, and then they decide, hey, I want to try that, and then they'll get into it. But yeah, so definitely a more unconventional way to get into it. But definitely seems like a better path in my opinion in that way. Because like you come into the format already having friends, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't really come in with like the same mindset that a lot of people have in draft two. Which I think sort of is a benefit to me, in a way. So like, because I entered draft in an unconventional way, I tend to draft in a way that is really different than most people do, which I think has been a lot of fun.
That's good, man. As long as you know, just don't be a groupie and draft stuff that YouTubers draft because Alola Ninetales, it gets a bit out of hand. Um,
Yeah.
all right, so
Yeah.
next question: how many leagues have you been in, and what were your results?
Oh man. Um, I've been in, well, like you said before, I played in a couple of matches in season one of Nimbasa City League, but unfortunately I had to drop because that was a really busy time for me. And I did sub, I think I subbed for Magic in
Mm.
season two of Nimbasa City League.
Yeah, it was for one battle, I
Uh,
think.
right, yeah, with the Rain team. I've been in Brave Birds League, which you know Green Darkness from
Yes.
LP. He's the one who runs that. Obviously, I've been in all 3 seasons of League of Extraordinary Trainers, which is my own league. Uh, I have a good track record. In every league that I have finished, I've made playoffs, and I've managed to make finals twice, but I always somehow blow it at the last minute. So I don't have a championship under my belt yet, unfortunately.
I don't know what you just did to your microphone, but it got significantly better. Um, so good job there. And yeah, you definitely always finish really well. I think you're a really solid battler from what I've seen. I mean, you beat me in LET, so uh, definitely really good in my opinion. Um, all right, next question. What was your most successful Pokemon in these past leagues?
Hmm. Definitely Aegislash.
Yikes.
Yeah. Last season of LAT, that thing was voted our offensive MVP. Um, we have a very unconventional rule, which obviously you know about, and probably a lot of people listening know about, where we allow Aegislash but not King's Shield. Um, yeah, and I had that last season along with like just the right support for it, so it was able to just tear things apart.
Yes, for reference, he had Alolan Ninetales with Aegislash, which was kind of the big thing. He also had
Yes.
Hydreigon, which really helped it out as well. He had a really solid Fairy Dragon Steel core. Um, and yeah, I had, or I'm gonna say had because I'm gonna drop it in LET. I had Aegislash in LET, and I personally didn't really enjoy it. Probably because I didn't really have the right support for it. Um, but you know, whatever.
You used it. You used it really well against me though. Like that thing was a bitch to kill.
You are not wrong. I brought it specifically for Latios because you could have chipped me with Shadow Ball. You would have done like 30% with Shadow Ball every time Aegis Slash came in. So I was like, I'm just gonna run
Yeah,
full Spadef AV. That way I'll take like 20. It'll be fine.
yeah, no, that was a really good call. That did a lot of work against my team, and it was very hard to kill. Yeah.
For sure. All right, next question. What is your all-time favorite Pokemon to draft?
Oh man, that's a really tough question. Hmm. Honestly, it used to be Alola Ninetales, which is funny because we were just talking about how it's not that good of a mon. Alola Ninetales, admittedly, is not very good.
I
It's
think it's,
frail. It's
yeah, I think it's
weak.
okay, but it's overrated.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah, it is
100%.
overrated. It has a bad typing, but it has some really good support options for offensive teams, even besides just Aurora Veil. Like it's stuff like Encore, Heal Bell, Freeze Dry, which if you use properly can be really potent against certain teams. Unfortunately, like you said, it's really not that good. And the longer the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon metagame goes on, I think people are finding more and more ways to counter it. So unfortunately, I don't think I would draft it like from this point going forward.
Yeah, probably not. I don't think it's all that great. I refuse to draft it because
Did that
Davis
answer your
drafted it like nine
question?
times. Not doing it.
Yeah, that
Uh,
answered your question. I think.
do I know?
What was that you cut out?
What did you say? I didn't hear what you said.
I asked you. That answered your question, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Along the nine tails.
Okay.
I understand. All right, so next question. As a newcomer into NCL, how do you feel about the overall competition?
Hmm. Pretty good. I mean, I know a lot of you guys. I know most of you guys are pretty good. I would say that in terms of like the competition level, I'm probably a good fit for the league. Like in terms of that, it'll be really fun to see how some of those matches turn out. I don't know. I don't like to say too much about like, I think I'm better than this person or whatever. Um,
I mean, I understand
yeah, I
that
don't
for
know.
sure.
Yeah,
I
I feel
think I
like
would tend to
everyone's
agree
pretty
with you.
good.
Like, I think I would say your skill level is about what everybody else is at, and you'll definitely be
Mm.
able to put up a fight to make you like have a good season and perform really well. Um,
Yeah, and prove Tapu Bulu is good.
Lord have mercy. That's an unmon.
A
Next
little bit,
question.
yeah.
Next.
Admittedly, yeah, it is. Like Tapu Bulu is the kind of mon that you draft to counter other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. What are you looking forward to the most this season in NCL?
Hmm. I think just sort of being a part of a little bit of a more low key draft league. Because Nimbasa City League, like everyone takes it seriously and everyone's good, but it's a little bit more fun than some of the other leagues that I've seen. It sort of seems like people take it a little bit easier there, don't get salty over things like hacks or losses. So I'm kind of looking forward to being part of that community where I can, focus on just the enjoyment of battling.
Right. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, man. But I think like if I had to like describe NCO, I would say that it is like really highly competitive. Like people do take it really seriously. However, if people do get hacks, they don't get super salty about it because Ian does a really good job of vetting these people to see whether or not they're that kind of person or not after a battle, to see if they're a sore loser or anything like that. And he does a really good job of trying to make sure that he only lets people into the league that are, well-minded people, I guess you could say, and they can like keep their composure. At least in the NCL server, they can probably go to their own server and vent about hacks and stuff. But in the NCL server, he makes sure that it usually doesn't happen because they have self control.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like everyone is friends in Nimbasa City League, which really helps.
Oh yeah, for sure. We've all known each other for a super long time, especially like me, Ian, Jed, Magic, and Cade, and all that. Yeah, we've known each other for a long time.
Mhm.
All right, so next question. A lot of broken mons were allowed this season. The broken mons that were allowed, since I actually know them now, Eternal Floette, Aegislash with no King Shield, as you said before. Both of the Megalodies are being allowed. Mega Mawile is being allowed, and Hoopa Unbound is being allowed. Which do you think is the most broken and why?
Eternal Floette, no question. Simply because most people are not used to facing it. And so I am foreseeing that a lot of people are going to either under prep for it or prep wrong for it if someone drafts it this season. Just simply like based alone on the fact that most people aren't used to facing it.
Okay, so from what I've heard about Eternal Floette is that it's basically a better Florges. It gets better Fairy Stab, obviously, because Light of Ruin is Light of Ruin, but it
Mm-hmm.
essentially accomplishes the same role as Florges, except it doesn't have a defog. Would you agree with that?
Yeah and no. I think that the bulk is a little bit different too. I'm not entirely sure what Eternal Floet's stat distribution is. I'm actually going to look that up right now, just to see. Special defense is 128. So what is Forge's? 154.
150, 140, something
Yeah,
similar to that.
154. So what Forge's? Yeah, I mean, it does look like it's pretty similar. It looks like basically a more offensive Forges.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because I'm pretty sure it has a higher base special attack, and it gets access to Light of Ruin, which is like a super high base power fairy move. Um,
Yeah, it also is faster. Florges' speed is 75, whereas Flood Eternals is 92. So Flood Eternal actually has a decent base speed stat as well.
the more you know. I don't know anything about that
Yeah.
mon. Okay, so next question. How do you feel about the overall tiering this season?
Overall tiering, I think it's pretty good. I think that, you know, you're technically one of the like mods in Inbossa City League, right? Like you and
I mean,
Ian
we're quote
with it.
unquote mods. Like, Ian will kind of just bounce ideas off of us. I would say like 95% of the league is run by Ian, and then the other 5% is like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And then we'll kind of give our thoughts on it, and then he'll decide whether or not he wants to do it, you know?
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's a little different than how I run it in LAT.
Yeah, we're like unofficial mods.
Gotcha. See, I give Ian and TJ and Corona and Howler like equal voting power. Like they actually were the ones who voted to ban Tapu Lili for season 3 of LAT. I wanted to keep it.
I can't really blame him. I understand why Lele would be banned. But at the same time, it's like people are
Yeah.
kind of starting to unban it, so maybe it'll be allowed one day. Who knows?
I honestly like, I know that Tapu Lili isn't like what we're supposed to be talking about, but I didn't think Tapu Lili was that bad when we allowed it in LAT. It was definitely a problem, but it was no different than facing like let's say Hoopa Unbound if you don't have an answer to that on your team.
Yeah, I would say if you have a good steel type that isn't like times 4 weak to some hidden power, then you probably have a decent Lele answer. But sometimes
See, I had to use
you,
Slash.
yeah, like sometimes you just don't have a good answer to it, and it just blows through your team, especially if it's like Scarf or something. Because it gets all the offensive power it needs from Psychic Terrain boosted Psychic Stab. You know?
Yeah, it's just a freaking insanely powerful mon.
Yeah. Okay. So, but the overall tiering for the league is solid. You think it's good and that it's fair and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's good. I'm excited to see some stuff like Megaladias and Aegislash that you guys haven't allowed in the past.
Cool. Cool. Um. All right. So next question. Um. Okay. So I don't know if you've been watching the interviews, but I've been asking people two slightly, not necessarily like super personal questions. Like I'm not gonna like delve into your private life, but I mean, I guess as I say that, I think this one kind of does, but not really. But it's like they're like personalized questions for you so people can get to know you a little bit better. Um,
Yeah.
how
Okay.
long have you and your husband been married, and what's the married life like?
All right. Yeah. We've been married for 2.5 years now. Been together for 5 years. I mean, honestly, it's basically like just living with your best friend. Like he and I both have a lot of the same interests. Like we both like video games. We're both like sort of homebodies. Like we don't like going out a whole lot. Just kind of keep to ourselves. So it's literally just like living with a best friend in a lot of ways, honestly.
That's really cool, man. I know a lot of people end up like after a few years of being married, they kind of get tired of the other person, but it seems like you guys have a pretty good relationship, and that's definitely pretty respectable.
Yeah, we're very independent. Like he has his life, I have my life, and we keep like certain parts separate, but then we have like the overlap, which is really good.
Right. I mean that definitely the groundwork of a really good marriage for sure. Um, all right. Next question. I'm gonna word this a little bit differently than I have it written down on the slide. Compared to a showdown league, which I'm assuming you've been a part of, hopefully. Um,
Hmm.
do you think it's more difficult running a Wi-Fi league than it is a showdown league?
Hmm.
I apologize for the
Yeah.
phone sound. Apparently, Snapchat is doing sounds now. Stop.
Um, More difficult to run. Yeah, I would say so. Just because when you're running a showdown league, there's a bunch of additional things that you have to consider. I'm sorry, when you're running like a Wi-Fi league, there's a bunch of additional things that you have to consider that you don't have to think about with a showdown league. For example, like we have to think about the type of metagame, because on a showdown league, you never have to worry about a match timing out. But on a Wi-Fi league, you've got 60 minutes, and then each turn you only have 90 seconds. So there's more time constraints. So one of the things that we had to deal with in LAT in season one was, if a match times out, how do we handle it? Because the game automatically gives it to whoever has the most, like Mons remaining with the most HP.
Yeah.
Um, However, there were a couple of instances where we could plausibly see that if there had been like another 10 minutes or 15 minutes allowed, the person who came out losing that match would have eventually been able to win. So basically, like as a result of that, we had to change our tiering, to discourage stall play by making certain mons like Doug Trio or Mega Sableye worth more than they ordinarily are.
Yeah, I
Another
know
issue
Ian
we've
did the
had is,
exact same thing with Stall. He moved everything up. Chansey, Toxapex, like all that stuff is all really highly tiered at NCL because he doesn't like the play style at all.
yeah, yeah. And the other issue that we've had, has been just disconnects. When you're playing on Wi-Fi, unfortunately, like when I played Ruppy a couple weeks ago, we had three disconnects in one night. And we ended up just having to go back the next day. And unfortunately, when we went into the actual match, we obviously knew what each other's teams were. We knew a little bit of each other's sets, so it ended up not being quite the same in the end.
Yeah, I heard he was
So
in a
just
really good position to win in the first like 3 games or whatever, and then when you came back to it in a fresh game, you ended up being able to edge him out.
Yeah, yeah. In the first, like I think it was the second rematch, I went for a Draco Meteor when he switched in on Tapu Fini, which was admittedly a really stupid play. But then later on, we kind of made up for it.
All right, so I definitely understand how running a Wi-Fi league would be more difficult than running a showdown league, just because there's a lot more variables involved. Like you said, the timer, disconnects and stuff like that. And then there's stuff like the battle logs that you have to make sure get done, and the
Mhm.
replay needs to be posted and stuff like that. Uh, Definitely understandable. Um, all right, so that is the end of the interview. You've made it through. Clap in the chat. Um, Heck yeah, man. So yeah, that was episode 9 or 10. I can't remember what number I'm on right now. Of the NCL Season 3 Coach Profile Series. Hopefully, you guys got to know Eco a little bit better. That is the whole idea of this series. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Have a nice day. Eco, take us home, please.
All right, catch you guys later.